Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Adrien Bullier. I'm a senior project advisor on energy efficiency at the Executive Agency for SMEs, which will soon become the Executive Agency for Climate Innovation and Environment, so CINEA, as you will probably hear about that. So I'm happy to be here with you this morning. I'm going to be speaking to you about the new sub-program that is joining the LIFE program in the new LIFE program, which is called Clean Energy Transition. So you'll hear about it as LIFE SET in a lot of cases. So very quickly, I hope you can see my slides. Yeah. So this is a quick picture of the LIFE program in the coming years. You're probably familiar with the first three sub-programs on nature and biodiversity, circular economy, quality of life, and climate mitigation and adaptation. I'm going to be talking to you about the new part, which is called Clean Energy Transition. So what is this sub-program? Basically, to make things simple, we're the continuation of market uptake actions that have been undertaken, funded through the EU, by the EU, and the predecessor programs, which were called the Intelligent Energy Europe program, running until 2013. And then we were merged into the Horizon 2020 program. There was an energy efficiency part, which we have been managing in the past 7 years. So everything that falls under coordination and support actions under the Horizon 2020 Energy Efficiency Program is basically the approach that we're going to be continuing under the Clean Energy Transition sub-program of LIFE. So the key objective that we're trying to achieve with the SET sub-program is basically how can we ensure that there's a good uptake of the technologies that are available on the market to implement energy efficiency and the rollout of renewable energy, and in particular small-scale decentralized renewable energy sources. So we're looking very much at how can we create the market and the regulatory conditions that will enable that transition. We're not focusing on the technological aspects. That is now clearly going to be under the Horizon Europe program. Under Horizon 2020, we were addressing both market uptake and research aspects. But that's now, there's a clear divide, and under LIFE, we will not be funding any technological development around energy efficiency and renewables. We're going to be working with two multi-annual work programs. The first one is being developed these days, and we're discussing it with the member states. I can't unfortunately give you more details on what is going to be in there, because it is still being developed. However, I'm going to try to give you a few hints at what it's going to look like. So what I can tell you as of today, we're going to be focusing on 5 main areas of intervention. The first one is around policy framework. It's really looking at how can we help support the construction of a local, a regional, and national policy framework that will be really supportive of the clean energy transition. The second area is called acceleration, and that's accelerating the rollout of available technologies. It's looking very much at digitalization. We're going to be looking a lot at new business models for energy efficiency, in particular in buildings. So everything that is dealing with, for example, demand response and building services linked to energy efficiency and renewables. That will also be looking, of course, at the renovation of buildings in terms of the enhancement of the professional skills in the market, and also how to develop renovation packages, how to roll them out on the market. Here again, keep in mind, while we're talking about accelerating technology rollout, is really about the available technologies. It's not about developing new technologies or even improving them. The third bullet point, the third area of intervention here is about attracting private finance for energy efficiency and renewables. It's really trying to solve the gap, the market failure on the sustainable energy not being attractive to the financial markets, because in many cases, when you're talking about energy efficiency, it's deemed as too risky for investors. So looking on the one hand at private markets, really pension funds, banks, trying to improve their perception of risk on energy efficiency, and also trying to put in place concrete investment schemes where you reduce the risk and you make it easy for people to invest in sustainable energy. The fourth area of intervention that we're going to be looking at is how can we support the development of local and regional investment projects. And here, under SET, we don't fund typically investment costs. That is not going to be an eligible cost. So if you want to do a pilot project to renovate a building to zero energy, that is not the right place to go. What we're going to be looking at is investment schemes. So how can we support integrated home renovation services that would be developed by a regional authority, by a local authority? We have a strand of projects dealing with project development assistance. So very similar to ELENA, which is managed by the EIB for the past 10 years now. You may have heard about this. And so all of this is really supporting, once again, local and regional authorities, but more going towards concrete investment programs. And the last area of intervention is looking at citizens. How can we involve citizens? How can we empower them in the clean energy transition? That's going to be looking, for example, at the issues around energy poverty. How can we make it, how can we enhance the access of socially vulnerable households to energy and to sustainable energy and to energy efficiency measures? Is going to have a strong focus on local energy communities. So citizens getting together to invest in a local wind farm or PV or even energy efficiency. So these are the five main areas of intervention that we're looking at. We're currently discussing the priority topics under that. I'm unfortunately not able to tell you more because of the planning for this. Basically, we should be able to publish that in June. However, what I can tell you about today is that under Horizon 2020, we have funded a number of these projects. We have funded 236 projects. In average, they were 2 million euros each, 3-year duration, and they're very much linked to the implementation of energy policy. Have a look at our web database, where you can see that we've funded 24 projects with Lithuanian partners in the past 7 years. So have a look at it and you can contact them if you want to know more. A bit of info just for, just so you know, this is what we were funding in the past. As I was saying, the five intervention areas will be different. In average, our projects used to have 11 partners per project. That doesn't mean this is what you should have for a good project at all. A good project is the one that fits the requirements of the call for proposal. Transnationality, also for information. In general, these projects we're really looking, at a transnational consortium. In almost all the call topics, this is a requirement that you have at least 3 countries involved. Geographical distribution. There's no national budget, so basically we're allocating the project based on the best scoring proposals under the evaluation by external experts. I'm running out of time, but just you can see later on in the slides here. Here's an example of, for example, what we have done around industry and SMEs. We've addressed this in different ways through a number of projects. I think it's about 20 projects. A very good example of what we've been funding in the past is a project called Transition Zero. Again, look it up. But it's looking at how to renovate to net zero energy levels with an integrated service, fast implementation, with a long-term guarantee on the energy savings. What they did was not to develop the technology around it, but really the rollout of an idea that was initially implemented in the Netherlands. So I'm running out of time already, so I guess I have to stop here. I'm sorry that I can't tell you more. I would love to, really, but I'm not in a position to tell you more because, as I said, all the work program and the topics are being prepared as we speak. What I can tell you, though, is if you want to have more information, first of all, so mid-June is basically when we will have the first calls for proposals published. There will be, as soon as we publish and before we publish that, we will inform you on the European Info Day for the LIFE program, and there we will be presenting the call topics. So stay tuned and attend this Info Day, because this is really where you will get in-depth presentations of each of the core topics that you might be interested. We're looking at somewhere between 15 and 20 core topics under clean energy transition, which might be quite different than what you have under the other sub-programs. So they are pretty detailed, and you need to really understand what we are looking at. So I would really recommend attending this Info Day. You can have a look at our previous Info Days if you're interested, because a number of the topics we'll be looking at will be continued, although probably modified and we hope improved, but they will be continued under LIFE. If you look at the Horizon 2020 Energy Efficiency website, again, you'll find a lot of information of what we've been doing. Search the project database. The types of projects that you want to look at are called coordination and support actions. And last but not least, I would encourage you to have a look at the funding portal. For the moment, there's nothing published under the LIFE page, but when we publish the call, everything will be made available on that funding portal. So that's it. I'll stop here. I hope that was clear, and I'm happy to take any question in the following sessions. Many thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Adrien, for sharing the news about Clean Energy Transition Program. When we first asked you to join this event, you hesitated, and because you didn't know so much about new guidelines for the LIFE program and the set, but apparently you presented really good insights, especially the intervention areas and the differences in the current call, in the coming call. I encourage participants to continue asking questions in Slido for Mr. Adrien Bullier about Clean Energy Transition Program. And I'll raise a few of them to you now. Financing rate and the Horizon energy efficiency was up to 100%, while LIFE usually financed only 60%. What financing rates will be on the set program?
Well, this is currently being negotiated, as I said. So I'm sorry. It's probably going to be higher than 60%. but we don't have, I don't have information that I can share as of today.
Okay, so we will wait for the live info day and for the call. Another question is, will there be any specific issues different from previous calls?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the call topics will be different than what they were in the previous Horizon 2020 calls, as they are, as we change them from one year to the other, depending on the market needs, basically, and what the needs are in terms of policy. In general, as I said, the 5 areas of intervention are different than in Horizon 2020, but in general, the philosophy and the types of actions that we will be funding will be rather in the same line. So that's all I can say.
Okay, thank you. And will there be priority for international projects?
International in the sense of projects working outside of the EU? No, we don't foresee that there will be any specific priority on that. Then most projects will be, as they are in Horizon 2020, will need usually 3 countries, 3 beneficiaries from 3 countries. But we have some priorities that are only 1 country, and we will probably have some in the future. But that's rather the exception than the rule.
Okay, and when you mentioned in your presentation about the national, local, regional policy framework, so may the project concentrate on one local problem in the country, or should it still be solved together with other countries? I mean, to join the solutions for local problems, but in different countries.
I think it depends on the call topic itself. Usually we have the type of projects that we have, which are locally, which are 1 country only, are usually project development assistance projects. So they are projects that are really looking at local investments. And there it has to be on the ground in the territory that is identified and that is the target of the project. When we the other types of projects that look at local policies, yes, usually you need to address, you shouldn't, it's not about creating the sustainable energy action plan for 1 local community. We're looking, usually the types of projects that we fund, we try to work with typically a federation of municipalities that will be able to address all municipalities in Lithuania. This is the type of things that we're looking at. Okay.
And do you think it is useful to participate in the project for a scientific organization? For a research institute, for example?
We have a lot of research institutes that are active in our projects. But in most cases, they're not doing pure research. So if you want to do research on, insulation materials, or, looking at the exact efficiency of a type of insulation, or, sociological analysis, this is not necessarily where you will be most useful in our projects, but we have a lot of researchers who are doing very good work, which is basically applied and then targeted to market players. So there's no clear answer on that.
Okay, and you shared the link for the project that have already been implemented, and I guess everybody can watch there and see that there are some scientific organizations who have already participated.
Yeah.
Another question is about the rollout that you mentioned. If a rollout project includes some demonstrations, for example, installation of several energy-saving devices, would their cost be eligible?
In general, no. What we would be able to fund is only the depreciation cost during the time of the project, which means if you've got a 3-year project and it takes you year and a half to prepare the project, then basically we don't cover much of the cost. So we're not an investment, we're not an infrastructure program, clearly.
Okay, thank you. If an applicant is a joint stock company that shareholder is a state, can such applicant apply for SET?
Yeah, there's nothing that prevents it.
Could you please repeat?
Yes, there is nothing that prevents it.
Okay, great. The general question, what costs are eligible under clean energy transition?
You will have to look at the exact call document, but in general, mostly it's staff costs, travels, consultants costs, subcontracting, yeah, pretty much anything that you need for a project, but no infrastructure. I mean, or what we cover on infrastructure is not really significant.
In LIFE program, EU added value is a strong criteria that all the projects have to demonstrate that they have EU added value. Is it similar in clean energy transition program?
Well, we are discussing and we're preparing the exact evaluation criteria. So once that is set, that will be communicated in the call document and in the multi-annual work program, which we expect will be able to publish early June, mid-June. But since most of our projects are transnational projects, the EU added value is not something that is really making the difference in the evaluation.
Okay, clear. I don't see any more questions for now. So I'd like to thank you very much for participating here with us. And I encourage all the participants to join the European Life Info Day that you have mentioned. Thank you very much.